India, a nation of just immense scale,
Right.
right? A rapidly growing economy, and it's facing one of the biggest energy puzzles of our time.
Absolutely.
How do you power this incredible growth while also tackling, the urgent threat of climate change?
It's a massive challenge.
But what if there's new research, maybe a detailed blueprint for a fully sustainable electricity system for India, even with that huge challenge of its, well, famously unpredictable monsoon season?
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the deep dive.
Great topic today.
Yeah, today we're diving into a truly fascinating piece of research. It's titled, quite specifically, The Role of Transmission Grid and Solar Wind Complementarity in Mitigating the Monsoon Effect in a Fully Sustainable Electricity System for India.
And, what makes this study so crucial, really, for you listening, is that it tackles head-on one of the biggest questions for any large-scale renewable system.
Right, reliability.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially somewhere like India, so diverse geographically, climatically. The core challenge is, well, how do you guarantee power reliably, hour by hour, when your main sources, like solar, are variable, seasonal?
Mm-hmm.
So our mission today is really to explore how this research maps out a path for India to hit 100% renewable energy by 2050.
That's ambitious.
It is. And you'll discover how this plan uses, well, almost unexpected natural partnerships and really smart infrastructure to get around these seemingly huge problems.
Okay.
It shows how regions can work together and how weather patterns, believe it or not, can actually work for a sustainable grid.
Not against it. Fascinating. So, to really get this, let's start with where India is now, energy-wise.
Good starting point.
It's heavily based on fossil fuels, as you might know. Coal, especially, is the real workhorse.
Evident, yeah.
And that, of course, means it's a major contributor to GHG, greenhouse gas emissions.
No question.
So India's kind of caught, isn't it, between providing reliable power for its huge growing population.
Which is vital for development, quality of life.
Absolutely. And at the same time, playing its part in tackling global climate change. How do they even start to balance that?
It's an incredibly tough tightrope walk. But what's impressive, I think, is India's proactive approach. They haven't really shied away.
Okay.
Like at COP21, they made that big pledge, reduce greenhouse gas emissions 33-35% by 2030 compared to 2005.
That's a serious target.
It is.
Nice.
And aiming for 40% of electricity from renewables, like wind and solar, by then, that's not just, a local goal. It's a really powerful global commitment. Sets a precedent.
And the raw potential is definitely there, isn't it? This study really highlights India's massive renewable resources.
Oh, enormous.
We're talking 250, maybe 300 clear sunny days a year across the country. Solar radiation varying from, 1460 up to maybe 200 555 kilowatt hours per square meter annually?
Yeah, huge solar potential. And then there's wind.
Right, wind, estimated potential around 2,000 gigawatts.
Roughly, yeah. Concentrated along the coast, certain inland states too, like Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Rajasthan.
So the resources are there, clearly abundant. The question then becomes, how do you harness them reliably, consistently?
That is precisely the challenge. And that's where the core of this study lies. Because, while all that potential sounds amazing, it comes with that big drawback, the variability. Solar and wind, they aren't constant.
Right, day and night, seasons.
Exactly. Now, at lower levels, maybe you can manage this with backup from traditional generators. But for a fully renewable system,
Yeah.
especially one leaning heavily on solar PV, that variability becomes a huge hindrance.
Makes sense.
And the critical question these researchers really dug into was, how will a solar PV-dominated electricity system actually perform during India's monsoon season? That's the real puzzle they set out to solve here.
Okay, so my first thought, thinking about the Indian monsoon and a grid full of solar panels, is how on earth does that work?
Yeah.
It sounds like a renewable energy planner's nightmare almost. Does this research confirm that fear, or is there like a clever trick?
Well, this is where the findings get really, really interesting. Revolutionary, even.
Okay.
You'd naturally assume, right, that as the monsoon sweeps across India, southwest, then west, east, northeast, north.
Yeah, bring all that cloud cover.
Exactly. Increased cloud cover, reduced sunlight. You think disaster for solar power. And yes, solar output does drop significantly.
Right.
But here's the game-changing insight from this work. Strong southwesterly winds come with the monsoon. So this leads to a massive surge in wind resources, especially in the southern and western regions.
So one goes down, the other goes up.
Precisely. It's like nature provides this incredible counterbalance. Get this. The monsoon months alone, June to September, they generate something like 62% of India's entire annual wind energy.
Wow, 62% in just 4 months.
Incredible, isn't it? So this natural opposition, this complementarity, solar down, but wind way up, that's the unexpected key. It makes a 100% renewable system feasible, even during the monsoon.
Nature's own balancing act.
Perfectly put. It shows how sometimes the biggest challenges actually contain the seeds of the solution.
That's fascinating. So it's not just about solar dropping. It's a strategic shift in where the energy is coming from. And this study really gets into the regional details, doesn't it?
Yes, very detailed.
It shows how unevenly the monsoon hits solar, like India West, India Central West, India Central South. They saw big solar PV output drops during monsoon, 19%, 34%, 23%. Those are serious dips.
Significant.
But then other regions like India Northwest, India South, India Central East, they saw much smaller drops, maybe only 4 or 5%.
Exactly right. And this is where that wind complementarity just performs beautifully. Because the very same regions that see the biggest solar drops, INW, INCW, INCS, that's also where over 95% of India's wind energy is generated.
Ah, okay. So it lines up geographically.
Perfectly. So take a region like India Central West, big solar drop, yes, but it's matched, effectively complemented, by a big increase in wind generation right there.
So the system adapts locally first.
Right. The model prioritizes the cheapest energy first, that's usually solar PV. Then it uses the wind. And only if it still needs more, it imports power from other regions.
And what about regions less affected, like India South?
Well, they might actually have surplus power during the monsoon because their solar isn't hit as hard, and maybe they have some wind too. So they could become net exporters, sending power elsewhere.
Right.
This whole dynamic balancing act, driven by these natural weather patterns, it just clearly shows how a 100% RE system can work smoothly, even during the monsoon. It really relies on these natural partnerships.
Okay, so that's layer one. Nature's clever solar-wind swap. Incredible. But like you said, even with that, some regions might still have shortfalls sometimes. Others might have too much power. It's not perfectly balanced everywhere all the time.
No, it's dynamic.
So what's the next crucial layer, the next bit of resilience the study highlights to keep the lights on everywhere?
Well, if you connect that local balancing to the bigger picture, the national scale,
Yeah.
the absolutely essential role of a strong interconnected transmission grid jumps out.
Right, the highways for electricity.
Exactly. This analysis found grid use actually goes up by about 1.3% during the monsoon compared to other months, just to meet demand.
So it's working harder then.
It is. And the net electricity pulled from the grid across regions increases from about 4.9% normally to 6.2% during the monsoon.
That's not a trivial increase. It shows how vital that interconnectedness becomes.
Definitely. And think about this. The monsoon period is only a third of the year,
Right.
June to September.
Mm-hmm.
But it accounts for about 38% of the total annual net electricity transfer between regions.
Wow. So a disproportionate amount of power shuffling happens during the monsoon.
A huge amount. It really underscores how regions rely on each other, lean on each other during those months.
Okay, so who are the key players in this energy exchange? Who's importing, who's exporting?
Yeah, the study details this really well. You've got major importers like India Central West, India West, India Central South. They often need to import because maybe their local generation costs are higher at that moment or just because they have very high demand.
Yeah.
Take India West, for example. It's heavily hit by the monsoon for solar. Its imports peak in June, even though it actually has good local wind potential too.
So it still needs more. Where does it get it from?
Typically imports from India Central West, which has strong wind then, and also from India Northwest, which crucially keeps strong solar output.
Ah, because it's less affected by clouds?
Exactly. That constant negotiation, that flow across the grid, means no single region gets stranded.
Okay, so those are the importers. Who are the big exporters then?
The top two are India Northwest and India South. India Northwest, with its desert areas, has almost constant solar conditions, hardly affected by monsoon clouds.
The reliable solar anchor.
Pretty much. And together, INNW and INS, they export about 43% of all the electricity traded during the monsoon period.
43% just from those two.
Yeah. And it's mainly that cheap solar PV electricity. And get this, they even use batteries to export power at night.
Really? Storing daytime solar to sell later.
Exactly. It adds another layer of grid stability, makes the whole system incredibly responsive, shifting power 247 as needed.
So it's this constant dynamic flow, regions acting as hubs, all linked by the grid. Amazing. And you mentioned batteries. We know storage is vital for any 100% renewable system. what role do technologies like batteries, maybe gas storage, play overall here beyond just the monsoon balancing?
Right. While the study's monsoon analysis focused mainly on the solar-wind grid interplay, the full 100% RE system it models absolutely depends on storage for overall stability.
Makes sense.
Batteries, both grid scale and, interestingly, prosumer batteries.
Prosumer.
Right.
Consumers who also produce, like rooftop solar.
Exactly. Those batteries together contribute almost 90% of the total storage output in the model. They handle that short-term, hour-to-hour balancing.
Okay, 90% batteries. What about longer-term flexibility, covering days or weeks of sun and wind or low?
That's where gas storage comes in primarily. And what's interesting is the study shows its output increases by almost 10% during the monsoon.
Why then?
Well, the idea is these gas stores are often charged before the monsoon hits. You're essentially banking energy, maybe converting surplus renewables into gas when they're abundant.
Ah, like hydrogen or synthetic methane.
Could be, yeah. Banking it to cover anticipated demand later when maybe both solar and wind are lower for a stretch. It shows a really multifaceted approach to flexibility. Different storage for different timescales ensures reliability year-round.
So, taking all this together, what's the big takeaway? What does this all mean for India's energy future?
I mean, this analysis makes an incredibly powerful case. A fully renewable electricity system for India. It's not just some far-off dream. It looks like a tangible, achievable reality for 2050.
And crucially, possible even with the monsoon challenge.
Exactly. That's perhaps the most impactful finding, the real paradigm shift from this work. No fossil-based balancing is required in the monsoon period.
Wow. No fossil fuels needed during the toughest climate period.
It's a huge conclusion. It means the system can completely break free from fossil fuels, even when conditions are most challenging.
And how's that achieved again?
Through that clever integration of the solar-wind complementarity or NACER's gift, really, and then strategically using that robust transmission grid to share the power. And remember, this model isn't just back-of-the-envelope stuff. It's based on detailed hour-by-hour simulations of India's grid out to 2050. It shows a least cost pathway to zero greenhouse gas emissions.
It sounds like a pragmatic, actionable blueprint.
That's exactly what it is.
That's absolutely incredible. So yeah, not just theory, not pie in the sky. It's a detailed hour-by-hour simulation showing a clear roadmap for India to power its future sustainably. It really paints a picture of what's possible.
It certainly does.
We've seen today how India can really leverage its amazing renewable resources, this diverse portfolio, and an intelligently connected grid to just overcome these massive seasonal challenges like the monsoon. It really does seem to pave the way for a 100% clean energy future for, well, such a huge and globally important nation. That interplay solar, the complementary wind, smart grid management, it really feels like a game changer.
It truly is a testament to smart engineering meeting natural patterns.
Yeah.
And, this raises a really interesting question for you, the listener, to maybe think about.
Okay.
If a country as vast, as complex, as climatically diverse as India can meticulously plan for a fully sustainable energy system, one that accounts for major seasonal swings like the monsoon, well, what unique regional complementarities, maybe wind and hydro, or different types of solar or grid strategies could be applied elsewhere?
Right, in other nations or even smaller regions people know.
Exactly. Maybe regions facing their own distinct climate challenges in their push for renewables. What stands out to you about this kind of sophisticated, integrated approach?
That is a fantastic thought to ponder. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
You can find more details about this really fascinating research, again titled The Role of Transmission Grid and Solar Wind Complementarity in Mitigating the Monsoon Effect and a Fully Sustainable Electricity System for India, right there in our show notes.
Definitely worth a look if you want the full technical detail.
Absolutely. We hope you're leaving today with a deeper understanding of the kind of incredible innovation that's driving our global energy transition and maybe feeling a bit more optimistic about the blueprints being drawn for a sustainable future.